Let's speak now to Marco Vicenzino, who's a geopolitical risk specialist and a global strategy advisor, joins us live now from London. So, Marco, what's your sense here of what happened yesterday and, the chances of this leading to progress?
Listen, it was a decent start. It seems to have been constructive. They were in separate rooms. It lasted for 2.5 hours. And there was a bit of FaceTime between Steve Witkoff, the president's the president's chief diplomatic envoy on this, and also with the Iranian foreign minister. Listen, the key thing is you have to keep expectations in check. Remember, there was a previous agreement that Trump himself removed. There was the Obama deal, which took 2 years to develop. The situation here is that, the challenges, listen, is the issue of trust, and it takes time to build trust. Another one is that Iran, compared to 10 years ago, is in a far more advanced program than it was in the past. And plus, there's the issue of timing. There's been an ambitious 2-month, the Trump administration is trying to pursue an ambitious 2-month deadline, which is going to be very difficult to achieve. On the other hand, Trump does have certain advantages. Iran is in a much weaker state than it was 10 years ago, both economically and geopolitically in the region, as its axis of resistance has been heavily downgraded post-October 7th, 2023. You also have the factor that the anti-regime sentiment in the country, in Iran, is much stronger. And plus, the congressional Republicans are not going to interfere with Trump as they did with Obama.
OK. Iran's conservative Javan daily newspaper praised the United States for not seeking to expand the negotiations to non-nuclear issues. It's fair to say, though, that the US will want to include Iran's ballistic missile program in these talks at some point.
That's the big question, is the issue of scope. How far are they going to, is it going to be simply the nuclear issue? And it has all been, Netanyahu visited the White House. He wants full disarmament, and he's told the president you had full denuclearization. So is it going to be full denuclearization, or is it going to be just limiting uranium enrichment? And then in addition to that, as you stated, you have the issue of, will it include, they're going to push for the ballistic missile program, and also the remaining members of the axis of resistance as proxies. Primarily, we're looking at, in Iraq, and also the issue of Yemen. Yemen is subject to debate. Some say the Iranians directly control the Yemenis. Others say that it's not so direct, it's more influence. So these are all issues that are going to be on the table. Each side is coming with different expectations particularly in terms of scope. And this is going to be something that will determine, that can make or break a deal. And if the deal doesn't happen, you run the risk of having a nuclear Iran. Israel may strike on its own, or the U.S. may strike with Israel or on its own. Several questions, and we'll only know in the coming weeks. And like I said, there's a limited time in terms of how far this thing can go on for.
You mentioned the JCPOA deal back in 2018, and isn't it arguable that had Donald Trump not pulled out of that deal then, that Iran wouldn't be where it is now with its nuclear program?
That's one of the criticisms, one of the key criticisms was the fact that, if he does a deal, will the deal be similar to the Obama deal from 2015? And it's a big question mark. And, the criticism over time, some of Trump's team originally, when he came into power in 2016, some was saying to him, this deal is actually slowly working. It's not far from perfect. It's not the best deal, but it's starting to yield certain dividends over time. I think what the president's looking for, he wants a deal with his own personal imprint on it, and also to be part of his legacy. Remember, you have deals that he's pursuing, apart from all the trade deals with many over 70 countries, which the administration has claimed. You also have Steve Witkoff, his envoy with Iran, is also his envoy for the Ukraine talks. And he was just recently in Moscow speaking to Putin. And then also you have he's also the emissary for the Middle East talks, you're talking in terms of Gaza. So the administration, in the first weeks, it's less than 100 days, and it's already pursuing a very, call it ambitious diplomatic agenda.
All right, Marco, we'll leave it there. Thanks for that very much, Marco Vicenzino, speaking to us.
Thank you.